3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? So I just want to make a cute little dumpling type character. So sit back, relax, chill, and let's do some 3D sculpting. So I want to change this to matte cap, like I always do. I'll make sure that it's in orthographic. And then I want to flatten the bottom part. So I'll use move, but I want to use symmetry with it. But with symmetry, I'm going to go ahead and turn on show lines so we can just see the lines. I want to be able to push it up, but not only like this. I want to be able to push, I think it's Z. So I'm going to have X and Z, kind of like this. So then when I push up the bottom, I'm going to make move quite big. When I push up the bottom, it's just a little more even. Okay, so I'll hit front again, and it's a little bit better. I want to put a floor here. I want to use this red line. That's the floor. So when I bring it over into Blender, and if everything is lined up with this red line, then I already have like a little backdrop and stuff set up in Blender, but it'll maintain it being even. So if you make a plane in Blender or something like that, and you bring this in, it'll be right on that black line. So I usually just like to add a cylinder and then change the post subdivision to 2, and that makes it nice and round. And I'll just use the gizmo to just, yeah, something like that. Is good. And I'm going to line this cylinder up with that red line, so that'll be the surface of the floor. So I'll get rid of the grid. Okay, so let's hit front. Let's bring our dumpling up a little higher, and then let's figure out how much we want it to kind of come up. I'm actually going to spread this out a little bit. You do still have to be careful on the edges, because you want it to be nice and round. It's a little better. So I'm going to pull these edges down, and I want this to be wider, and I want it to kind of something like that. But I'm going to have to turn it and kind of do the same thing with these sides as well. Okay, looks good. I want to make sure it's good from all angles. Okay, kind of got it. Let's see it from the top. I got to make sure this is nice and round. Okay. I'm going to make move smaller and then try to pull this part up. So it's almost like a Hershey's Kiss. It's not too bad. I still want it to be a little bit fatter, so I think I'm just going to, yeah, something like that. Excuse me. Hope you guys liked my pancake video. I just have so much fun just like making random little videos like that. I had a lot of fun with that video. And it's actually something I love to do. Like I love making pancakes. I really, really just love making pancakes. Well, like I love trying to get to the perfect pancake. That's really what it is. Try to get to the perfect pancake. And I also like playing things in reverse. Some things just wind up being so interesting if you just play them in reverse. Okay, that's kind of cool. So let's trim the bottom. rectangle. So we'll go ahead and trim that. Let's do a little save. Okay. I was thinking to do crease. Let's see. Z. What if we put this on 2 and this on 2? What happens then? Oh, that's kind of what I wanted. But why is it mirroring on the bottom? Okay, so the problem is they're going in the same direction, and I want them to all go in the opposite direction. It seems like Y might be the answer. So I changed Y and I put the radial to 4. We're on local symmetry, and that's much closer to what we want. Five is better. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of this because I don't think I'm going to need it anymore. Eyes. You know, it's still a bit... There's something about it. Center, pivot. And let's do a quick save. And let's voxel remesh it around 200. And we'll do round edge. If you don't have round edge, just make sure you check out my Nomad Sculpt cheat sheet. It should be in the... It should be below in the description. So I'm going to use crease. And by the way, these videos are very useful for me because using the wrong one. I want to be using not Z and X but Y, and I want to be using 5. They're very useful to me because, you know, I always want to be learning how to do things more efficiently, more fun. It's very important to me that things are fun. And the reason things are really important to me when they're fun is because if it's not fun, you're not going to do it. Like if it's not fun, you're going to be bored and annoyed. Personally, that's what I think. So I wonder if this is the same. I wonder if this will... Oh yeah. Anyway, let's go back to the front. If it's not fun, it really becomes work. And when it becomes work, then it's just on its way to being really, really annoying. So let's use select mask. And that's actually the reason I had to stop doing commissions as well. Unfortunately, commissions personally are... commissions almost made me just quit art altogether. I like doing collaborations like with businesses and things like that. And it's not really only because, you know, businesses will pay more, you know, like companies will pay more. It's not really just that. It kind of is, but it isn't. Companies pay more because they understand the business of it, and they understand that you have to pay to get a certain quality and to assure a certain quality. So that's one thing. Also, usually with businesses, the quality of what you're doing is usually the best from top to bottom. Whereas a lot of times, unfortunately, let's see if we can use this mask. Okay, so let's turn... We want symmetry on, but we don't need the radial. We just want... We'll just go with X. Yeah, there we go. So we're in the front. sometimes with individuals, and unfortunately I get a lot of opportunities, from people that are kind of wanting to make their, their dream thing come true. It's like, I feel really terrible because there's a lot of people who, I can tell this is their baby. This is something that they've been working on for years, and they want to bring it into 3D and make it 3D, and they want to, they have, big plans for it. They want to do a 13 book series or something like that, and I think that's awesome. I think it's great. But I'm also an artist, and I'm very hard on myself with the art that I do, like the 2D art that I create, or any art that I create. I'm extremely hard on myself. I'm extremely picky with it. Make sure it's not going through to the back. It's been a huge problem. So yeah, I'm extremely picky with the art that I choose to do and create. So it's really hard for me to put everything into someone else's art, or art that someone else has made, especially when I see issues with it, or it doesn't really like speak to me to that level. I can put in hours and hours and hours, and I think that's the reason why I mostly like to do my own thing, because it's hard to really have that fire when it's someone else's art that you might see some issues with, or you might think that you can do better. And I had this problem early on. It was one of my first 3D commissions to do a character from 2D, and it was very difficult because there were certain things. First of all, you're bringing 2D to 3D, so you have to be able to work all that out, and I didn't mind that. I can do that. But then you also have to compete with, the client that wants something a certain way, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense, or it's just not good. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense, and there's nothing you can do, and then you're kind of stuck. And that happened to me once. It's happened to me more than that, but really it was just like one situation, and it just wasn't. And once you're locked in, you're locked in. And for me, it's not worth it, because it makes me not want to create art. Like, it literally just makes me not want to create art. I remesh because I want to kind of strengthen this up a little bit. So every now and again, that's why I remesh. A lot of people were mentioning that sometimes they do a mask and the mask is blocky. You have to voxel remesh higher. If it's blocky, that means it's a low resolution. So you just have to voxel remesh higher, or subdivide, or go here, multi-res, and subdivide. Subdivide, be careful, because you can subdivide something 3 or 4 times and be in the millions. So you want to be careful with that. Okay, let's smooth this out. This mouth. I did see some other artist a while ago that had a very similar little character that I really, really liked. So I'm taking steps to not look at that, because, I just want to make my own. If I use it for a reference, then I have to do the whole reference thing, which I don't mind, but I just want to make my own. I'll probably have to change this mouth. One thing I noticed about mouths is that you really have to The shape of the back of the cheek is really important. That's okay, but I want to smooth all this out. Let's voxel remesh it again at 200. Just gonna smooth all this out. Might need to add more to that bottom lip. I don't think I wanted it to be, oh, you know what I can do? Let's see. We can use select mask. Maybe we can just give ourselves a little bit more real estate by doing something like this. Maybe make it smaller. So maybe by doing something like that, we give ourselves a little more. This is kind of how I wanted it to begin with. That's much better. It's much better, still pretty flat. Okay, so let's flatten the mouth. The flatten tool. I really just like the way things look when you use the flatten tool. It really just makes things look very nice and clean. The mouth isn't that wide though. I wanted to put teeth in here, but the mouth is not wide enough. Also, I feel as though the bottom part of the mouth should maybe come out more. It's possibly too much. It's a little more even. There we go. What kind of eyes should we give it? Should we have little eyes here, or maybe little like pill eyes, or eyes here? Let's see. So this is the dump. Let's do a quick save. This is the floor, FLR. We can validate it. Save again. So now let's add a sphere. Oh, I forget. I moved this thing from the front, didn't I? Where's the grid at? I forgot that I moved it. So you know what I want to do? Let's just take this and let's do move origin. Okay, good. So now it's in the middle. Let's take it off solo, and let's bring the dumpling back up to the floor, which we can't really see because of the sphere. Okay, so that's good. Get rid of the grid again. Yeah, we'll just move that up to the floor, like so. Okay, so eyes. So for eyes, we want to take this sphere and validate it. And we want to change the symmetry from X to Z. Do we want Z? No, I think we want Y. I think we want Y. And the reason we want Y is because we want Y and we want local. So now the line is locally here because we want to extend it from this green line outwards, like that. So we want to use symmetry. We want to change this to vertex. A lot of people would say, like, why don't you explain why? I don't know. I don't know what vertex means. I don't know what most of this stuff means. All I know is you have to put it to vertex, and then you can stretch it like this. Sometimes I get those comments, and it's like sometimes I don't know why. I don't know the technological reasons why something works. I just know that it works. So I'm gonna take symmetry off, so I can just shrink it. Excuse me. I always try to hide when I have to clear my throat, but it doesn't work because the mic picks up everything. So then I just wind up sounding like a dum-dum. So do we want to do pill eyes like... That's kind of interesting. That's actually a pretty interesting eye. But maybe it's better if... let's see. What if we rotate it and just put it so it's like... Oh, so it's still kind of big. So what if we do something like that? And we had the eye, so let's just name this eye. And let's add a mirror. Okay, interesting. What if we move them a little bit further out? Then it looks kind of silly. Let's use a line so I can just bring him straight out. And then straight kind of together. And then we can kind of straighten him out a bit. Maybe make them smaller. Let's see what that looks like. That looks weird too. I think I actually like... I prefer that as an eye. I know it's a little weird, but it's kind of what I prefer. Okay, so that's an option. Let's try something with a sphere, but less pilly. Or if we were to do just a sphere. That's kind of cute. Okay, let's go ahead and throw, or let's hit mirror. And let's just kind of see how this looks. That looks okay. Let's see if it's a little bit if they're a little bit closer together. That's cute too. This is really close. I don't like it when they're really close. Let's see if they're really far. That looks a little bit weird too. Okay, so I think the winner, I think I like it when they're about there. Okay, what if they're low? I actually don't mind it low either. So let's go ahead and validate this. And let's use move, and let's just see how it looks if we were to stretch the sphere a bit. I think I like it. And that might actually look cool if they were cylinders too. The plot thickens. But I do like the round ones. So let's hide these two. Let's add a cylinder. So we'll gizmo, we'll put it roughly into place. We'll make it small. Let's flip it. Let's flip it with snap. So we'll flip it that way. We'll shrink it kind of like that. And we'll do our same little trick. We'll do validate, symmetry, and vertex. We want to change the symmetry to local. And yep, we want red because we're going to go away from the red line. So we'll go this way. Okay, so I'm going to turn symmetry off. I'll just go back to auto. I'll just do a quick save, and then I'm going to voxel remesh this like so. You can do a little bit of round edge on it. Okay, so I would like to make this into a similar shape to what we made before. So I'm going to use move, but I want to make sure the back is also doing the same thing. So I want to turn on Y as well. That way when things move in the front, they move in the back to match. And you know, I might just do something like that. It might look kind of cool. So let's shrink it and let's kind of put it into place. Oh, I still have it on snap. Oh, and I still have it on the line. Sometimes it's easier to move things into place when you don't have them on a line. Okay, so something like that. We'll take this out of the mirror. We'll name this I2, and let's add a mirror to it. Uh-oh. Okay, so if it doesn't go over here, then we need to, okay, so it was local. So it was turning around, but it was in the same space. So let's do world. And now we'll add the mirror. That was weird. Okay, so now we have that mirror. So now let's just see. We can make this look interesting. I think that looks kind of cool. So the only thing, X is, no, turn off X, Y, and local. I think it would be nicer if one of the ends is more tapered. I'm not sure if I want the front end tapered. Or the back end tapered. So I'm just going to do push and pull a little bit. I like it, but it's still a little bit. I think that looks good. Okay, so I do like this. So the only thing now is I want to put a bend in it so that it follows the curve of the eye. So I don't want this. Actually, do I want anything? Maybe X. I think X would work and move. So this way, I think I can just go like this. And then I should be able to move it right back in. Maybe adjust it a little bit. Something like that. I like it. Okay, so let's do a quick save. Maybe we'll add some teeth. You know I love my teeth. I'm gonna delete these and delete, yeah, I'm gonna delete this sphere. Eyes. Do another save. Anytime I make changes, I just kind of save it. Why not? Let's just do some teeth. I've been thinking about if I want to use cylinders for teeth instead. We'll stick with spheres for now. So I'll move it out, up, smaller. You guys know I love making teeth. Even though they're so difficult to put in when I print things. We'll go ahead and mirror. I kind of like the two teeth there. I don't know why, but that's very... Oh, maybe just the two teeth and a tongue. Well, let's take this mirror out of that. Do some housekeeping and make sure that these are all labeled. But let's add a sphere for the tongue. And lately I've been doing, for tongues, I've just been doing like this. How have I been doing it? Oh, and mirror, and then gizmo, and I've been moving them out and then just tilting them towards each other. Like that. So we'll validate. We'll validate. This can be the tongue. And we'll remesh that together. Probably around 150 is fine. Smooth it out a bit. And then I like to give it a little bend. Oh, symmetry wasn't on. I like to give it a little bend, maybe puff out the top back here. And then I'm going to do pivot, center pivot, so the pivot is on the tongue. And then just kind of move the tongue in and maybe something like that, maybe a little bit wider is good, and a little bit further back. Okay, I think that looks good. So now what I'll do for the tongue, let's make the body blending and turn this down so we can see through it. And then we'll make sure we're on the tongue, and we can probably trim the tongue just to make it straight. I'll trim it there, I'll trim it here. So something like that. And I'm just going to use move on this and open up this area. Where the tongue is. Just like to open that up a little bit. Give the tongue a little space to breathe. So let's bring this back up. Actually, let's look at some of these other things. Yeah, everything else looks pretty good. Oh, we can also take the teeth go ahead and validate the teeth. I'm going to do a quick save, and I'm going to bring the teeth together. I'm going to remesh them at 150. Smooth them a little bit. That's fine. Why is symmetry not on? And I want to take select mask. And there's a few things that I actually want to do. So with select mask, I want to mask off here. And then I want to take the rest of the teeth and just pull them straight up, and you can flatten that out. Like so. Okay, so now I'll clear the mask. Something like this is better because then it goes straight up into the little part that we make for the teeth to go in if I print this. The other thing is, actually it's quite thick, but sometimes I like it a little bit more thick. So I'm going to use the select mask again, and I'm going to mask here, straight across that way. And I'm also going to mask here. And then I'm going to take the gizmo and move this part like this. Actually, will that work? Actually, I don't know if that should work like that. Maybe I should just make them thicker like this. That's probably a better move. Yeah, I'll just make them thicker. I'll make them thicker like that. That's better. So then I'll clear, and then I'll just smooth this out. I don't know how the back part got wider. I think I can fix that by just maybe... Oh, I know why, because it's not completely halfway. Interesting. So maybe it's better if I just use a line and I stretch the teeth. That kind of gives me the same effect without having to go through all that. So that's actually a better plan. Okay. So let's make the head opaque, because I want to do another small tutorial about what I'm about to do. So let me take a quick break. So take whatever the part is you want to be connected to the other part. For example, I want these teeth, and here are the teeth, just the regular shape. So the first helpful thing is to change this, the part that you want it to go into, go here, blending, and you can bring the opacity down. So now you can see through it, and you can kind of see what you're working with. So next I'm going to take the teeth, and actually I'm going to go ahead and validate these so it's just one piece, pivot, center, pivot. That just brings the pivot in the middle. So I'm going to hit solo, so now we just have the teeth. I'm going to hit top, so we're looking at the exact top, and I'm going to use select mask with the rectangle. I want to make sure that it's straight. There we go, something like that. But I don't want it on the bottom, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit unmask and unmask the bottom part. Let's just go select mask and invert, and then take the gizmo. Everything else is masked except for this, so you can pull this up a little bit, and then you can taper it a little bit. So then I'll just clear the mask, give it a nice voxel remesh. We'll do 200. Okay, I'm just going to smooth this out some. You can even smooth this out some. Okay, so then you have your little notch there. So now, if I uncheck solo, I'm going to change this back to opaque. All right, so now we take the teeth. So we have the teeth. I'm going to clone it, and I'm going to hide it. And then I want to take the body, whatever the part you want to make it go into. So that's dump for dumpling. So now we have the dumpling and we have the teeth clone, but the teeth clone is hidden. So now we use Boolean. So what Boolean does is it's going to take the shape of the teeth. So now we have two sets of teeth. We have the regular one, and then we have the one that we're using that's hidden. It's going to take that hidden shape, and it's going to do a Boolean, which means it's going to extract that shape from whichever other mesh you have selected. So it's going to subtract the teeth from the dumpling. So Boolean, Boolean. Boom. So now we still have the old teeth there. Let's go ahead and hide the older teeth. Or not the tongue. Let's hide the teeth. And let's take a look. So now we have this piece from the other teeth. And we have the other teeth here. And then everything is good. So basically when you print it, you just want to print this separately as an STL, print this separately as an STL. And you'll have the two pieces, so then when they print, you'll be able to fit them together. I used to make the teeth a little bit bigger, the clone, so that it would fit in there easier. But I found that, and then if I need to, I can file down the teeth if for some reason they don't fit in there. So that's the only reason I didn't make one thing a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. But it usually winds up fitting pretty nicely. But I'll do the same thing for the tongue. I might not need a notch, like a little notch for the tongue. You really don't need it for the teeth either, but certain things you might want the notch, so I wanted to show you how to do it. You don't really need this. You could just kind of make this impression and then stick it up in there. Oh, the other reason I do the notch sometimes is because so I have something for when I paint it and stuff, so I have something to clip onto. Sometimes I make it a little longer so that I can, so for my little clips, these things, so I can clip. Oh my God, I can't believe these broke. I'm gonna send these back so I can clip onto them. All right, we're back. So there's a few things that I was thinking in that span of time, and one is that I think these are a little too deep. So I'll just take smooth and just kind of smooth this out. Oop. Do I want to smooth the top? Actually, the top looks better a little smooth. So I'm just going to smooth these out. Might even take symmetry off. And just kind of smooth off those so they're not so deep. Yeah, I think that's a little better. All right, so now for the eyes. Sorry, I don't know. Actually, you know what I'm thinking with the eyes? It might be nice to just recess. It might be better to just recess the eyes and then just drop paint in there. You know? You know what? I could do that. Let's take a look at how these go in. So if I were to pull these straight out, so I think we want the local. Let's see if I do pivot, center, pivot. Because if I was going to put them in, you'd want them to go straight in like this. So it would be straight in. Let's see. I don't know. Let's do it. So I'm going to take the eye out. That way we're just working with the one eye. And I'll clone it and hide the original eye. So this eye is going to be the eye that we sort of work on. So, and actually let's unhide the other eye. I'm going to rename this one IX. So this is the one that we'll cut. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to name it IX so we don't get confused. So IX, let's change the blending to 50%. That way I can see it when we make it a little bit bigger. So for this one, I am going to make it a little bigger. Move it down a little bit. See, it always like, maybe I need to stretch it this way. Okay, that looks all right. I just want to make it bigger than the whole thing, so this can easily go inside of there. I think that looks good. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to take the original eye. Part of me wants to, I really want it to go, you know what? Let's take both of them. Let's take both of these eyes and recess them back in the head a bit. Like this. That might have been a little bit too much. Let me bring them out more. So something like that. So now the other one, IX, I might even bring down a little bit further so that I can push that eye almost all the way in. Hopefully this shouldn't be a problem here. I hope it isn't a problem. It should fit in there. I'm going to take move. This is bold, but I'm going to take move. And so we're on IX. I want to use Y. Oops. I want to be on IX. Let's solo it. Oh, IX is all weird. Let's see if we can gizmo edit. That might be the best that we can do. So the reason why I'm doing this is because I kind of want to make sure that the front and the back move. So I'll tap. Let me just do a quick save. So essentially all I want to do, let me unsolo it. So we're on IX. I'm going to use move. This kind of bothers me because it feels like it might not fit in there. So I'm going to take move and just make it a little bit wider. Make move bigger so it's a more, there we go. So that feels like it's more even around our eye. Okay, so I'm going to bring IX back to opaque. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to clone eyes. Because I just want to use the mirror. So this is a mirror. Let me go back and explain this a little bit better. So remember, we had eyes in the mirror. So we had one eye. And if we put this eye back in the mirror, then it shows up over here. So I want to do the same thing. I think I can just clone this. I can bring this over. So now both the eye and the IX are in the mirror. So let me make sure that these are opaque. They're opaque. I'm going to go ahead and validate these and just rename them IX because we want to cut both at the same time. The eyes are fine, but we can go ahead and validate those as well. All right, so let's do a quick save. So now all we have to do is Boolean IX, which will take that shape out of the mesh, which is the body. And it's probably going to rename it back to mesh. But that's okay. So we have dump and we have IX. We want to hide IX and do a Boolean. Boolean. Boom. See, we have the carve. We have the cutout now. Those eyes should go in there. Let's change this to blending just so we can see how those cavities are doing. So they look like they're doing okay. They don't look like they interfere with the teeth at all. So that's the only thing I was worried about. Sometimes it can be tricky, like if this, if some of the parts are touching. But that looks pretty good. I might actually, do I have room to move the teeth up some? I don't know if I do. I might just want to make these teeth smaller. I don't know if that'll keep the same shape. It looks like it keeps the same shape. They just felt a little big to me. If I'm worried about it, then I can just make this opaque again. Take these teeth and move them up a little bit. And then I can do that same thing I did before, clone them, hide them, and then take the mesh and Boolean. So now let's change this to blending again. Yeah, so now we have that. So they're a little bit higher now. I think that looks a little bit better. Let's bring this back to opaque. And I should have said this before, but if you're not trying to print this, then you don't need to do all these cutouts and things. But just in case people are interested in printing or interested in the process of printing, I just wanted to add that in there. So I apologize for those of you who could care less about printing. Okay, so let's do the same with the tongue. Let's clone the tongue. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Move it back a little bit. And maybe even down a little bit so we can have a little spot for it. Maybe even a little bit bigger. I'm going to change it to blending so I can kind of see the difference. Stretch it out a little bit, just so it has a little home. Okay, that should be good. So now I'm going to do opaque. I'm going to do a quick save, and then I'll use the tongue, hide that one, and then take the mesh, which is the body, and do Boolean, boom. So I want to see, let's see what the body looks like without the tongue. Okay, that looks good. You have to make sure that there's nothing that would stop the tongue from kind of going in there, because sometimes it can get a little weird. But that looks good. Okay. You know what? I don't need. I do want to smooth it a little bit. So I'll smooth that a little bit, and just to be safe, I'll take move. It looks like it'll still fit, but I'll just move it up a little bit. Just give the tongue a little bit more space. Okay. Okay, so that should be good with the printing. I don't think I need to add anything else. I think I'm good. So I'm going to save this as dumpling print. Okay, so this one is the print. So if you're not printing, let's save as, I'm going to save it as the original one too, as regular dumpling. Okay, so if you're not printing and you just want to, like, I want to bring this over into Blender, so I'll do something like this. Pivot, center, pivot. Now I want to make these eyes bigger. So I'm just going to take trim. This might happen sometimes if it's not mirrored and you want to change it. Oh, take it off symmetry, get rid of one. And now I'm going to take this eye and just make it a little bit bigger. Pivot, center, pivot, now that we only have one shape. So I'm going to make this eye bigger. because I really want to cover that. Let's see if I can use move. I guess I can undo. I probably could undo. Let's see if I can undo some of my steps, because I don't need this to be printed. I already have the printed one. So I'm just going to undo, because I don't need those extra eyes and stuff, you know? So there we go. So I'll bring this back. Everything is as it was. The only thing I remembered I want to do is bring the teeth up some. And this is the one I want to bring into Blender, so this is the one I'll finish with. So I'm going to save this. Okay. So yeah, let's just do a quick paint job. So let's bring it to lit PBR. And so of course I'm using my, if we go into the lighting menu, I'm using my eye environment thing, which I always use, but I'm gonna turn that off. And let's turn on one light. Oh, I did forget to do one thing. Let's change everything. We can go ahead and validate the eyes. Let's take everything and change it to a neutral color. I like to use a sort of terracotta color. Paint all. Okay, that looks good. Save our progress. We'll go back to our light, and I usually put it to like 2 or so. Maybe a little more than 2 today. Let's try 3. This might be too bright, but let's try that. Okay, so this is the key light. We'll clone one and we'll make it rim light. So the rim light, even though this is a sun, it doesn't matter where we're putting it. I might change it into a spotlight, so I'm going to put it where I would put the spotlight. And let's turn this light so that we get a nice that nice rim glow. Perfect. Maybe even put that a little higher. So we have those 2 lights. Let's add a spotlight. So let's change it to spotlight, and we'll put it sort of over top. So do it something like that. Maybe even on the top, pointing down. Okay, I like something like that. I'm going to turn this key light down a little bit. Oops. Okay, so let's, we do have another light. So let's take the rim and let's clone it. And this will be rim L for the left side. So let's bring, even though it's a sunlight, I like to put the lights where they would be coming from. So we'll just add some brightness over here. Yeah, we'll just add some brightness over there as well. Doesn't even have to be too bright. Good, so let's see what it looks like with post-process. That looks nice. So let's change this mesh. Let's change it to, let's do a quick save. And also, we might be able to decimate some of this stuff. So this mesh, let's go to Miss and decimate it. I think twice is good. The eyes, we can decimate those a few times. They still look good. Teeth, decimate those. Still look good. Tongue, because this stuff doesn't need to be that big. They're very simple shapes and stuff, so they don't really need to be huge. This I'll probably get rid of. We'll leave it there for now. I think that's it. So, okay, actually, first let me look at this mouth. Let's turn the environment on. It's a little bright, but let's turn post-process off. I just want to look at the integrity of this now, because all this stuff is going to be very prominent in Blender. So I'm a little worried about these type of things. Also, it's just like a little muddy here. I'm not sure if a smooth will even help that. Let's take it off symmetry. Kind of helps it, kind of doesn't. Let me undo these and just, I want to see how the mouth looks if I undo what I did. Okay, the mesh, no, it looks the same actually. It feels like it looks the same. I don't see much of a difference from when I decimated that. And I didn't even decimate it that much. Okay, so let's see if we can use pinch on this to sort of pinch this a little bit better. Let's actually use symmetry. So pinch hopefully will bring these edges together and just make it a little cleaner, because it's a little messy. Oh, I don't like that at all. Let's see if I can flatten that out. That's better. I'm all about these little details, and sometimes these little details are just, to me, they make all the difference with making something look really nice and really clean. So even though I'm working in Nomad, when people see what I'm working on, I want it to look like, I don't want them to think, oh, like they did this in Nomad, in like a, you know, a mobile app. Like, no, I just want it to look good, regardless of what app it is. Okay, that looks nice. Oh, this kind of bothers me too. You know what? I'm going to save and I'm going to voxel remesh this. Like 250. Ooh, what is that? What happened there? That's so strange. What in the world is that? Is that just empty inside? That's really weird. What if I voxel remesh higher? Still does it. It's very odd. I have no idea why it would be so, like, look hollow inside. Oh, wait a minute. Wow, what is this weird? Oh, there's like a weird thing here. It looks like it was part of the tooth that kind of got like pulled or something. Okay, I do want to put something there. This is kind of a weird deviation. But I could probably just leave it, but I don't know. Sometimes when you run into issues, like, I like to be able to fix whatever it is. Especially if I'm doing a tutorial. Like, I know maybe not everyone cares, but sometimes there'll be random weird issues like this, and I think it's worth it to come up with a fix. So I'm just making like a patch essentially. So this patch, I want it to be longer. I'm going to validate it, and then I'm going to use move, make sure symmetry is on, should be in the middle. And I want this to just patch up that area. Looks like we have to push in the bottom side and pull out the top side. And I'm actually going to bring it right over where I need to patch. Okay, that looks good. I'll bring it up. And now I might be able to just smooth it so that you can't see it. So I'll smooth it so it's just under the surface. I'm gonna take drag now. I just want to drag it so it's more. Okay, so I'm just making sure that it's as close to the front as I can get it. So let me smooth out these little spots. Okay, I'll color it the same color. I'll bring this back to opaque. We'll do a quick save, and now I have the mesh, which is the dump. I gotta stop calling them that. So dumpling and the patch, let's call this patch. Save in case we get a crash. So dumpling and patch. Patch is probably quite small, so I'm going to subdivide it. The reason why I do that is because I find that sometimes it gets real blocky and weird if you voxel remesh two shapes together and one is really low res and one is really high res. So I wanted to bump up the patch so they were both a little more high res. Oh, let's see what happens. Okay. It's better. It's better. We should be able to smooth this out without it breaking. So that is better. And then we can probably just use pinch and kind of get that shape back. And remember, this is, oh, this might be a problem. I wonder if this will be a problem in the print. Ooh, I hope not. But anyway, but that looks better. This, I don't really have to worry about the print because this is just one that's going to go to Blender. Let me smooth out where these teeth are. Or you know what? Better yet, I'll just move this up a little bit. So you can't really see. And I'll take drag and I'll just drag these pieces of the head in a little bit closer so that you can't see that it's open. That's a good. Okay, good. So we'll hit a quick save. We'll do a little bit of decimation because this stuff is way too high. So I'll decimate the body. Everything still looks good. Still looks good. Let's do a quick check. No, I don't see any difference in quality. Ooh, let me go back though. I want to go back because this looks weird to me. This looks a little like uneven or bumpy or something. I don't know why. Take it off symmetry. I just want you to be smooth. That's all I want is for you to be smooth. I don't want any weird wrinkles because I will notice them in Blender and I will be annoyed. Same thing with down here. I don't know why this is looking a little weird and ripply. I don't want it. I want it to look smooth and clean. And that's the only way you get things to look really smooth and really clean is to pay attention to detail and spend the extra time and make the changes that you want to make. That's the only way. I'm going to do a little bit more pinch here. Okay, make sure it's nice and even. It is. Okay, I'm good. So now I'll do a little decimation. Everything still looks good. We'll take the teeth. You can probably decimate those once. Eyes, decimate those once. The tongue. Tongue is small enough. So I'm going to take another look just to make sure everything is clean. All right, looks pretty good. All right, so we'll save. Oh, okay, so we can bring this Let's change this to subsurface. Bring it down to like 1. Teeth, subsurface. Could have probably just put them all together. I guess we'll do the tongue as well. But I don't really want to see through the tongue that much. Okay, so now let's go back to post-process. We'll bring this up. It looks great. But we'll bring the environment down. I almost called it the entertainment. So we'll bring the environment down. And if we want to make it a little bit more dumpling-esque color, we can do that. Let me think for a second. So we'll go here. And we'll do a little bit more of a dumpling color. Maybe something like this. Paint, we can bring the roughness down a little bit. Make it a little shiny. Give it a little shine. The eyes, maybe there are could do black, but I don't know if I want straight black. Maybe something like this. We turn the roughness up. Teeth, we can do whitish. Make them nice and glossy. The tongue, I feel like he wouldn't have a pink tongue. I feel like he would have, tongue would be sort of maybe a little bit more brown. Kind of like that. A little bit more rough maybe. And there we go. I like it. Maybe we'll make this a little bit whiter as well. Maybe we'll add a little metalness to it. Give it a little flavor. All right, nice. And now the only thing that I would do is just play with your lights, adjust the lights. This looks way too bright. And it's mostly because we made it a really light color. So you have to be careful because bright lights will reflect if you make them really light colors. Rim is good. This rim is good. Maybe we want to make it, there we go, something like that maybe. Maybe turn it down a little bit. One side can be blue. So maybe we'll make this a more cool color. Yeah, I like it. Nice. Actually, it's a little too yellow, isn't it? Let's get rid of this metalness. It's kind of hard to figure out what color a dumpling would be. It's harder than one would think. Maybe around there. Yeah. We'll make this a little bit lighter. Okay, yeah, I like it. So there you go. There's a little dumpling. Give you a little turntable here and here. Yeah, so there we have our little dumpling. All right, hope you guys enjoyed that. I definitely want to have this little guy printed. I think he's very cute. So I will print him, and maybe I'll try to match these colors too. These are great colors. All right, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video. Oh, one other thing I might do is add a layer on top of this and color inside the mouth. So I might do that as well. We'll see.
Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to go more in depth, then definitely check out my Skillshare classes where I am a top teacher. I have about 50 classes, both Procreate and Nomad Sculpt. I also have a few classes on Udemy, so if you want to learn more, or you just like my style, you like the way I teach, you want to support me, those are some other places that you can do it. Thanks again, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.